Yes, everybody, welcome back to Talking Wolves. We're here for a brand new transfer news and update video. It's been a while since I've done one of these. It's been very, very quiet for Wolves this transfer window, unfortunately. But hopefully, over the next couple of days, we'll have a little bit of news ahead of Thursday's deadline. As always, guys, be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below about all of these deals. There's a few deals I'm going to be talking about that have been reported about today, and then a couple of deals that haven't necessarily been spoken about, but players that are worth keeping an eye on before the end of the transfer deadline. But big news today in regards to two players. The first one being the most likely incoming for Wolves before deadline day. Noha Lemina, of course, the brother of Mario Lemina, current Wolves midfielder, playing for Paris Saint-Germain in France. Been out on loan in the second division of Italy with Sampdoria. It's not quite gone to plan for him there. So returned to PSG this month and now is likely to be moving to Wolves. Deal apparently agreed between the two clubs, a loan deal with a €2 million option to buy if Wolves want to take that up in the summer. It would be a 5-year contract as well if Noha Lemina joins Wolves permanently in the summer. And yes, very interesting deal. There was a lot of reports last week in regards to there being work permit issues. There are issues with younger players, especially if they haven't played a huge amount of senior football, which is the case for Noha Lemina. But with certain rules, I think I posted about it on Talking Walls last week. There are ways around it. You can put them basically as a special player. I can't think of the exact term for it now. I'll be able to find it shortly. But basically a requirement where you can fill it. And as long as you've got space in your squad registration, which Wolves obviously do at the moment, they can register him as one of those players. So basically you don't have to follow the work visa rules as strictly as you normally would. So he's joining Wolves, all being well, before Thursday's deadline. Still a couple of things to confirm on the player side with the agent and so on. But as far as PSG and Wolves are concerned, a deal has been agreed. Another player that has been linked with Wolves from PSG is Hugo Ekitike. Now, there were rumours this morning that he had agreed to move to Eintracht Frankfurt, but a lot of other journalists have jumped on that and said that isn't quite right as of yet. Of course, they are in the race, as are Wolves. Wolves have been looking at him this month, but as far as I'm aware, his wages are astronomical, so it's probably not a deal that Wolves are going to be looking at before the deadline. Never say never, but I would be very surprised if this deal does come to fruition for Hugo Ekitike to join Wolves. At the moment, Noha Lemina is the one that I'd assume Wolves are going to be hoping to get over the line sooner rather than later. With Lemina, young player, obviously not huge experience. I think he'll be training with the first team at Wolves, but you may well see him get some minutes with the under-21s. Probably similar sort of thing to how it works with Enzo Gonzalez. And hopefully Mario Lemina can step up, get 6 months, adjust to life in England, and next season we see a real player that's going to be an asset towards the first team. But really highly rated over in France, and I think obviously once this deal is agreed, I'll make sure I get a video sorted with somebody that knows a little bit more about him as well. Now, another player that Wolves have been linked with, and there has been a big report today, is Armando Broja. Now, we spoke about him a couple of times before on the videos. We spoke about him on the podcast this week as well. And it's been confirmed today that Wolves have had a loan bid rejected by Chelsea for the striker. Now, I obviously put out the news last week that Chelsea were wanting mad money for him, really. They were wanting around at least £45 million for Armando Broja. I've been told again that, Chelsea basically want an obligation to buy. They will only let Broja go out on loan if there's a guarantee that he's going to be leaving the club on a permanent basis, and they're going to be getting quite a lot of money for it. So, again, even if Wolves loaned him, Chelsea's still looking for that obligation to buy of £45 to £50 million, which, not just for Wolves, I think any team with a bit of money are going to be dubious about. I don't think he's got the record, as of right now, to warrant any club paying that sort of money for him. So for this to happen, I think Chelsea would have to considerably drop their demands before the deadline. Things can change, but if I'm completely honest, I would be flabbergasted to see Armando Broja holding up a Wolves shirt come Thursday. Maybe something that Wolves can revisit in the summer, but as of right now, I'd be really, really shocked to see Broja go before the deadline, or come to Wolves at least before the deadline. Another couple of players that have been linked over the weekend. Jordan James, currently playing for Birmingham City. That was reported by Fabrizio Romano. I think we had been linked with him before. There's been interested in him. Young midfielder at Blues. Who's doing quite well at the moment. But they're in a pretty healthy position in terms of players that they can, and the value. And he's obviously a player that at the moment looks like he wants to play there. So I think it would take, again, some big money this summer for Birmingham City to let him go. This January, sorry. And maybe in the summer it's something that Wolves can revisit. But the Championship market is going to be an interesting one to see how Wolves do look at it in the future. We've mentioned that a couple of times before. Wolves diving into the sort of the National League market for players in the under-21s. We were heavily linked with Gyökeres last summer, which at the moment, I think a lot of Premier League teams are going to be kicking themselves for missing out on Victor Gyökeres with him do so well at Sporting. One player that I've not mentioned at all, just because we haven't done any updates, is Johnny. Obviously, he's now left the club. Again, I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago that I wouldn't be surprised to see a mutual termination between both parties, and that's exactly what has happened. I don't think a move for him to Greek club PAOK is confirmed as of yet, but you would assume that's where he's going to be going. Whilst I talk about him, I am going to quickly search on their Twitter to see if anything's been confirmed. But Johnny, when fit, a phenomenal player for Wolves. A solid 7 or 8 out of 10 every single week. Started adding a couple of goals to his game as well. But a really good player. A part of some of our better days, or best days under Nuno, really, wasn't he? So a really good player for Wolves. And just having a quick flick. They announced him yesterday. So I missed that one. Johnny obviously signed for PAOK after leaving Wolves on a free. So it'd be interesting to see. He was on a big wage at Wolves. Be interesting to know the terms of the mutual termination. But he's playing now for the Greek club PAOK. Now a couple of deals as well that I think is worth looking at, or keeping your eye on at least, between now and the deadline. The first one, Theo Corbeanu, was out on loan at Grasshoppers for the first half of the season. Never really been given a huge opportunity at Wolves. I don't think he's a player that Wolves obviously value that highly or rate highly. I think he's still a good football player, but just in terms of value and so on, he's not someone that is huge at the moment. But been out on loan at Grasshoppers, got a fair bit of first team experience to his name over the last few years at various levels. Played for Canada at a national team level as well. But according to sources in Belgium, Belgian club OHL are reportedly interested in him, but other clubs in Denmark and clubs in America as well are also interested in him. Can play obviously as a forward or a winger. I would be intrigued because if a move doesn't come to fruition, I actually don't think he'd be a dreadful option to have in and around the 21s and on the bench again. Especially until the end of the season. Quite a well-built forward. Like I said, already got that first-team experience to his name. So could be an option that Wolves keep around. But I'm sure if they can get £2, £3, £4 million for him this January, they probably will cash in on Theo Corbeanu. So that's one to keep your eye out on. Another one is Nathan Fraser and Joe Hodge. Now, Nathan Fraser, of course, is still a part of the first team, as is Joe Hodge, to be fair. But Fraser, out of the two, is probably, for me, the most likely to stay. I think with Nathan Fraser, in terms of, he's a good forward. I think it's maybe a little bit too early to be chucking him into the first team on a regular basis, but can certainly make a contribution. And it wouldn't surprise me to see him get some minutes against Manchester United or against Chelsea as well. So unless Wolves sign a number 9, I'm fairly certain Nathan Fraser will stay at the club and he's going to be given opportunities between now and the end of the season. Joe Hodge, I think, now João Gomez is back available, will probably be allowed to let go. I think you've got Gomez, you've got Doyle, you've got Lemina, you've got Boubacar Traoré when he returns from AFCON. Harvey Griffiths, I think, will have to stay at the club now as well. So worst case scenario, you fall back on him between now and the end of the season. For me, Joe Hodge is very likely to go out on loan. It was reported previously that clubs in the Championship, plenty of clubs are interested in him. Bristol City, the main one mentioned. So again, between now and Thursday, Joe Hodge may well see him move on. Now, I mentioned Bristol City. One player that is worth an eye on, or at least keep this player in your mind for the summer, is Tommy Conway, striker over at Bristol City right now. A number of top clubs in the Premier League, clubs in the Premier League and Celtic and Rangers as well in Scotland are keeping their tabs on him. Wolves are one of those, and I understand he's a player that Wolves do admire. So again, probably not an option for this January, but 21 years of age, forward, represents or can represent England and Scotland at an international level. Be interesting to see if Wolves do go back in for him in the summer. So remember the name, Tommy Conway, just in case Wolves do come back in for him, because like I said, I do understand he's a player that Wolves do admire and appreciate. So that is all. Hopefully, very quickly check if there's any other news. No. Hopefully there's some more transfer news. Hopefully a number 9 coming in. Very quiet on players such as Che Adams and so on over the last few days and weeks, to be honest. But we'll wait and see. There have been players abroad that have been mentioned. But hopefully I can do another video between now and Thursday, because we'll probably have the preview out tomorrow. We'll have the Man United stuff out on Thursday, so obviously no deadline day stream. But hopefully some odd recordings and uploads to give you guys some more information. As always, be sure to hit the like button down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, guys. And I'll catch you all very, very soon.